Hollywood has been recycling itself for years now. We've all seen it happen. A beloved classic gets dusted off, polished, and paraded back into the theatres with a new cast and an inflated budget. And 9 times out of 10, we leave the cinema wondering, why did they make this? A nostalgia cash grab here and there is one thing, but it's become a worrying pattern amongst movies that are released these days. A pattern we can't seem to escape. So I wanted to look into Hollywood's obsession with remakes. Why do so many of these fail to resonate with audiences? Why does it feel like the magic of movies is starting to slip away through our fingers? But before we get started, if you're a fan of my content and you like me yapping about movies, TV shows and other media, don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. I've been informed that 99% of the people that watch my videos aren't even subscribed. I have a mandate for 2025. I will be consistently uploading Gravelnot content throughout the whole year, so subscribe now to be part of the mandate. Here's the deal. Movies shape our culture. They're more than just entertainment. They reflect who we are, our hopes, our fears, and everything in between. So when a remake comes along, its only option in order to be successful is to surpass the original, and Hollywood really struggles to do that. That emptiness you feel after watching a remake that misses the mark is like hearing a bad a cappella cover of your favorite song. Technically, it's the same song, but terrible. We as viewers develop connections with the stories that movies portray, and in some cases become attached to them. When they're done right, they inspire us, challenge us, and they end up sticking with us. But when Hollywood reduces them to a brand name and release date, they're not just failing us, they're erasing the magic that made us fall in love with these movies in the first place. Let's talk about nostalgia, Hollywood's current drug of choice. Their formula is simple. Take a beloved classic, slap on a fresh coat of CGI and some new flashy edits, maybe throw in some A-list names, and just like that, you've got yourself a new movie. The Lion King wasn't a reimagining. It wasn't a bold interpretation. It was quite literally a copy and paste with live action CGI. Sure, it's a different medium, but new visuals alone can't carry the weight of what made the original so special. And this is where Hollywood's obsession with nostalgia hits a wall. Studios bank on our love for the originals, but they rarely bother to ask what made us love them in the first place. It wasn't just the story, it was the creativity behind it, the originality. Now, don't get me wrong, nostalgia does sell. It's comforting, it's familiar, but here's the problem. When studios lean too hard on nostalgia, they stop innovating. They're not creating new memories, they're just reheating old ones, like leftovers. Take 2016's Ghostbusters. They desperately tried to convince us that it was a love letter to the original. The movie's problem is that it was trying to force feed you nostalgia, but in the most cheap and lazy ways imaginable. It was too busy winking at the audience going, hey, remember this? Like the member berries from South Park. Too focused on nostalgia and not enough focused on actually telling a compelling story. In my opinion, I think it's a balancing act, and remakes often fail because they cling too tightly to the past instead of forging their own identity. Imagine your favorite meal. Mine's lasagna. Imagine you receive your favorite meal, but the chef has forgotten to include an ingredient. Sure, it's what you asked for, but the flavor isn't the same. Where was the care for the creation of your favorite meal? That's what audiences feel when they watch a remake that's all nostalgia and no soul. When Hollywood remakes a movie, it's not just about better effects or casting the hottest new stars. No, it's all about modernizing the story, bringing it in line with today's values. On paper, that might not sound so bad, but in practice, it's a mess. When Mulan was announced, Disney promised a bold, live-action reimagining of the animated classic, a gritty war epic with cultural authenticity. What we got was, Super Mulan. Honestly, the original Mulan was just more authentic. It was a story about an underdog proving her worth through grit, cleverness, and sheer determination. The 2020 remake? Well, Mulan's not an underdog anymore, she's practically a superhero born with magical powers. And in my opinion, that change completely misses the point of the story. Apparently, Disney thought audiences in 2020 couldn't relate to a flawed, hard-working heroine. She had to be a chosen one, a warrior destined for greatness. Because nothing says empowerment like taking away the need for personal growth. This isn't just a Mulan problem, it's a remake problem. Modernization often feels less like an organic update and more like a checklist. Cultural relevance? Check. Empowerment theme? Check. By trying so hard to appeal to modern audiences, these remakes lose the emotional depth and nuance that made the originals timeless. A timeless story doesn't need to be forced into today's mold to stay relevant. Hollywood, you have to understand this. A timeless story just needs to stay true to its core. Modern remakes forget that. They think that the only way to connect with audiences is to strip the story down, slap on a message that the majority of people don't even care or agree with, and call it a day. But when the story stops feeling genuine, audiences notice. Now, don't get me wrong, modernization can work. It just has to be done with care. Take Little Women, for example. Greta Gerwig managed to honour the heart of the original while weaving in themes that felt fresh and modern. So I've been told. I definitely wasn't forced to watch Little Women when it came out. She didn't replace the story's emotional depth, she added to it, and that's why everyone loved it. What made Little Women work wasn't that it tried to completely reinvent the wheel, it respected the source material enough to keep its spirit intact. Modernization wasn't the point. It was a byproduct of telling the story in a way that felt honest and real to the original. It's no secret that Hollywood loves money. I mean, after all, it is a business. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Movies stopped feeling like art and started feeling like products. And nowhere is that shift more obvious than in the endless conveyor belt of remakes. A lot of these remakes don't feel like they're made because someone had a burning passion to tell the story in a new way. They feel like they're made because a boardroom full of executives looked at a spreadsheet and said, yeah, this will sell. These movies aren't creator driven, they're corporate driven. They don't come from a place of artistic ambition, they come from a place of, let's play it safe and make some money. The Mummy is a perfect example of what happens when a studio prioritizes franchises over films. This was supposed to kickstart the so-called Dark Universe, a cinematic universe of reimagined monster movies, which is something I personally could have gotten behind. What we got instead though was an overstuffed, lifeless blockbuster. The 1999 version worked because it knew exactly what it wanted to be. The 2017 remake was an action, horror franchise starter that was just executed in such a dull and generic way. Modern remakes are often more concerned with visual spectacle than actual storytelling. Aladdin's a pretty good example of this. It's big, it's loud, it's colourful, but it's also hollow. Listen, I get it. CGI is impressive, but you can't build an entire movie on pretty visuals alone. And if you ask me, the quality of CGI is plateaued, making it look quite tacky a lot of the time these days. The originals were often the complete opposite of safe. They were bold, they took risks, they weren't guaranteed hits, they were passion projects. The 1999 version of The Mummy wasn't a guaranteed success. Neither was the 1992 version of Aladdin or the 1994 version of The Lion King, but they were made by people who cared. Would the original Mummy have worked if the filmmakers played it safe? Would Robin Williams' Genie have been as iconic if they told him to stick to the script? The best movies happen when creators take risks, when they're not afraid to make something weird or different. Okay, we've spent a lot of time talking about the mess that Hollywood has made with remakes, but I would be untruthful if I didn't mention that there are exceptions to the rule. Some remakes actually get it right. John Carpenter took a 1951 sci-fi B-movie and turned it into a horror masterpiece that's still considered one of the best of all time. Carpenter didn't just copy and paste the plot. He took the main concept of isolation and paranoia and then combined it with psychological horror. And it didn't hurt that the film's mood was immensely unsettling at levels the original just couldn't reach. Then there's the Dune remake. The 1984 version had its charm, but the 2021 version respects the source material by taking its time to explore the world building and the characters in a way that the original just couldn't. They didn't rush to cram the entire book into 2 hours. They let the story breathe. And the visuals actually felt like some sort of progression forward. It was a reminder that remakes can elevate the original rather than just cash in on it. So what do The Thing and Dune have in common that most remakes don't? Well, it's pretty simple. A strong creative vision. And they took risks. These films didn't just want to recreate the magic of the original, they wanted to do something new. They respected the source material, but they weren't afraid to go off on their own path. Remakes work when they build on the past while adding something fresh to the conversation. There's no formula for a great remake. It's about having a clear artistic vision, not just trying to copy what worked before. Hollywood's obsession with playing it safe is such a big part of the problem. If you want a remake to stand out, make it stand out for something. At the end of the day, the remakes that work are the ones that don't just play it safe. They're the ones that challenge the original and give us something new to think about. So maybe the next time Hollywood decides to revisit a classic, they should remember, a little creativity goes a long way. That's it from me. Until next time, see ya.